All right, guys, well, I'm back today taking a look at the Bear Creek Arsenal Genesis 1. This is very similar to a Glock 17, but this one actually has a metal frame. It's made by Bear Creek Arsenal, and it's really designed to compete with a lot of the offerings on the market right now, offering different slide options with RMR cuts, raised sights, and threaded barrels. This one is pretty cool, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I was really excited to give it a try down at the range because all of the specs and features that went into this handgun, especially for the price. Before we get too far into it, I want to give a huge shout out to Calorie Ballistics for donating the ammo to help make this video. These guys have the coupon code 704TACTICAL for 5% off and free shipping on orders over $200, and we ran a lot of this ammo through this pistol, so definitely check these guys out. One of the first things I want to say is when I got it out of the box, I was impressed by the fit and finish and weight of this handgun. It feels like a premium handgun. When I got to the range though, I was definitely disappointed. Right off the bat, we had a lot of feed issues. I thought this might be a break-in period until we started ejecting the mags while firing out of the bottom of the handgun. And it wasn't because I was depressing the mag release. The force of the explosion of the round inside the chamber was kicking the mags out the bottom, and I sent it back to Bear Creek. The turnaround was pretty quick, although they said they found nothing wrong and sent it right back to me. Now, this is sent to the channel for test and evaluation by Bear Creek Arsenal to me, and I get to keep it. So, they checked it out, said there was nothing wrong, sent it back to me. I immediately went down to the range that week, fired, and ran into the exact same issues. Feed issues with certain types of ammo, and then the mags kicking out the bottom. This time I filmed it in extensive detail. A lot of times when I go down to the range, I actually go a couple of range trips without even bringing the camera, get a feel for the different firearms I'm going to shoot, and then I bring the cameras out when I know I'm ready to go to film the complete video. And so I filmed a lot of the issues, sent it back to them, and they really did a deep dive. They purchased a ton of different ammo, including some of the ammo that was having issues in the video. They also replaced the mag release with a new design to prevent it from kicking out. And then they did look over the handgun and fix any other issues. Now, since then, I received it back. I was not really excited to take it to the range since I've already wasted a lot of time on this review and a lot of ammo, but I want to give it a fair overview. Now, it's 100% functional. The mags are locked in rock solid. There's no issues there, and it functions great with the newly designed mag release, so any future orders should have this update, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. The feed issues have completely went away, and we tried a lot of different ammo. Again, a huge shout out to Calorie Ballistics for providing a lot of the 115 grain with no issues whatsoever. So now this gun is 100% functional, and I'm going to do the baseline review from here. If you guys are interested in this handgun, stay tuned because I'm going to talk about the positives and negatives after the gun was fixed by Bear Creek Arsenal. So, the metal frame. That's cool because it's heavy. It's also not cool because it's heavy. If you're used to a lightweight polymer gun, this one's going to be a change of pace. Now that weight absorbs a lot of the recoil impulse, making it a little bit easier to shoot. If not for the fact, though, that this is an incredibly squared off base with more crisp machine edges on the back, which dig into your hand under firing. The squared off ergonomics of this grip don't do well against your hand under recoil impulse, and those sharp points, especially right here at this lip, even though it has a contoured edge, still is a lot rougher than a smooth or rounded standard Glock 17 or something like the Palmetto State Armory full-size dagger. Meaning, even though it's got more weight to absorb recoil, it transmits a lot of that force back into high spots or high points on your hand, and you feel the recoil a little bit more. You can control the gun though because of the added weight, but you feel it in the web of your hand and it's not super comfortable. One thing I do want to note though is the ergonomics. They're just not great. In fact, they're probably some of the worst ergonomics on the grip I've ever felt on a Glock 17 or a Glock 19. It's just a bulky squared off grip, and that's the nature of this gun because of the machining that they're doing, because it's an all metal frame. It's also a two-part metal frame with a seam down the middle that has been bolted together, and you can see all of the bolt holes throughout the gun. That's not a big deal. It just is what it is on that, but the ergonomics are not great. Now, the ergonomics get a little bit better at the trigger guard. It's nice and smooth around the front. No issues there. It's got the pick rail up top, an extended takedown lever, and the mag release, now fixed and newly designed, works out great, so no issues there. You also get a lot of nice window cuts, front and rear slide serrations to cock the firearm and do press checks, so that works out great. An RMR cut at the top, which is pretty cool, and the high-vis sights, which work out all right. No big deal. A threaded barrel included, all for the MSRP for this particular version of $449. So you are getting a lot of gun for the money at $449. Now that we were down at the range and getting some time to take some shots with it, it seemed fairly accurate with no accuracy issues. It has been 100% functional after the second time return. So I do want to state that it's been running really good. The ejection pattern has also really improved and become more consistent each range trip. So at first it was kicking the shells back into my face. The second range trip, it was still doing that. And the third range trip, that completely went away, and the ejection pattern was very consistent. So we did see some improvements with that over time. So functionally, this gun is working good. One thing about this gun is the trigger is spectacular. It's got a very smooth take-up, a little sponge, and then a break. And I say it's spectacular. It's spectacular for a Glock. So it's one of the better Glock triggers when it comes to the overall just performance, the reset, the trigger pull. Now, it is a very heavy trigger. It's on par with a standard Glock, but it's definitely better than a lot of other Glock triggers out there. But is the trigger going to make or break the gun? Not really. It's still kind of a Glock nature trigger in general, so it doesn't really compete with anything like a single action or a CZ or something like that. It's still going to be a Glock felt trigger. Now, they also have a ton of variations of this with different barrel options, different mag options, different kits, all available on their site, and all this information can be found in the campsite page below. In summary, it's a good handgun now. It's a good handgun after the repairs, after the updates. I like the handgun. I'm not a huge fan of the ergonomics. To my knowledge, though, I don't know of any other full metal Glocks out there on the market anywhere near this price. And if that interests you, this is a great option. What I'm probably going to do is put it away for a while. Think about what I'm going to do with this project. Maybe add some optics, swap out the sights. But again, it's not my favorite to shoot at the range because of some of the high spots on the bottom. Maybe because this is fully machined, they might modify that lower to be a little bit more ergonomic and then kind of swap out the upper slides and go from there. But right now, it kind of is what it is. It's not my favorite handgun in the world, but it's definitely not the worst. And I feel like you're getting a lot of value at the $449, but I wanted you guys to be aware of all the positives and negatives. I do love the approach, though, that Bear Creek Arsenal took to remedy the situation after the second return. They really updated and redesigned a few components, and I feel like this is a solid option, again, if you know its strengths and its weaknesses. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.